This is the Authority Partners podcast.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to Authority Partners Podcast. I'm very excited because for the first time we have a guest from AP Technology Center Istanbul. Today, my guest is Burak Atamguç, who is the Director of Account Management at Authority Partners based in Istanbul. Burak has over 20 years of experience in IT industry on various sales and management roles at global companies like Oracle, EMC, Software AG, and Software One. He's married and the lucky father of two beautiful daughters. He enjoys spending time and traveling with his family. Also, he likes movies, books, mostly science fiction, rock music, as well as fitness and swimming. Merhaba Burak, how are you today?
Thank you, Asya, for the great introduction, and merhaba to you too.
Well, two of us will talk about importance of strengthening the relationships with clients. Customer relationship is a phrase that we hear frequently in our business environment as well as daily in personal lives. There are a bunch of roles and tools built around it, like customer relationship managers, CRM software, and I'm really happy that you as a professional with long-standing experience will explain through this podcast why it is important.
Thank you, Asya. I'll do my best. To begin with,
I'm sure you will.
thanks. To begin with, there's really a short answer to this question. Although we are operating in a B2B environment, what really happens is, at the bottom of it, it is people working with people. And people do want to work with the ones they have a better relationship. But to delve a bit more into it, let me first go back to what account management really means. There are a couple of variations on the definition of account management, as some see it as a post-sales engagement for nurturing and mediating a company's client relationships, whereas others include pre-sales as well and talks about collective process of overseeing the sales process, planning the business continuity, and managing client relationships. By the way, this second definition is much closer to our view here at Authority Partners. The key thing here is, whichever definition you find, client relationship is at the heart of it.
As you mentioned, managing client relationships is a part of the AP culture. Can you explain to our listeners why is customer relationship that important to have a specific role built around it?
Actually, there are so many reasons for it, but here are a few highlights. A true relationship means there is mutual trust and understanding. Any client knows your job is to sell. Either upsell or cross-sell, doesn't really matter. And you make profit out of it. But if you have built that strong relationship where he or she trusts you, then they believe that you'll provide the value they are paying for and will be there for them until you make sure that's done. If you've built that level of trust, why would they go and take more risk with someone they don't even know? Another point is, customers approach vendors, even to the ones they do not have a relationship with, whenever they believe they have a need. If you have that real relationship where they tell you about their business, their plans, their challenges and all that, you'll have the chance to pinpoint a need before even they themselves know about it. This is actually where the real magic happens, as you get to mold the situation into one where you'll face very little to no competition.
Oh, that's a valid point. And what about a cost of winning a new client?
Yeah, that's a great point, Asya. In average, winning a new client costs 5 times more than retaining an existing one. And building a strong relationship is the key to retain clients. On top of that, strong customer relationships bring word of mouth. You can talk to a prospect as much as you like about how magnificent your company is or how state-of-the-art your products and services are. You can never even come to close to the effect of a couple of sentences from a happy and trusting client. Strong references are the most effective ammunition for growth. Here in Authority Partners, we believe that strong client relationship is of utmost importance for our business, or even the most important aspect of it. This is not only because of the reasons I've just explained, but even more so because we believe we must work with customers as long as we add true value to their business. And this is not really possible without a well-established relationship.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, I agree. And Burak, what are the key factors in building and maintaining a strong client relationship?
If you Google this question, you'll end up with many different lists. probably around 10 to 20 different factors, but with varying priorities of those factors, especially for different industries. Obviously, building a customer relationship for a consumer electronics company such as Apple is concentrated more around brand image and customer perception, which is customers' relationship with the brand rather than the actual company. In our industry, it's literally the relationship of companies and the people working for them. So based on my experience in our industry and my personal prioritization, the list would be number one, trust. Very hard to build and extremely easy to break. First of all, you must understand that this will take time, but without trust, you cannot talk about a strong relationship. To build trust, be genuine. Be yourself. I mean, don't worry. Clients already know that you need to have sales and profits. So do not try to hide it, but show them you genuinely care about them and the value they get out of it. Prove them you're looking for a real win-win situation. They also know you cannot know everything. So when you get a question that you do not have an answer to, tell them you do not know, but you look into it and get back to them. There's nothing wrong with this. In fact, you'll notice the more experienced people are, the easier they'll admit to things they do not know. But then look into it and get back.
So you're kind of using this like 24 hours response rule?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, in my case, I'd rather get back to the customer within the same day, even with a like very short answer that I'll look into it and get back to you.
Well, then you're very efficient.
Thank you.
And what would be second on your list?
My second point would be empathy. Another key element for strong relationships. A must-have for an account manager and will lead to a stronger and more fruitful relationship when it is mutual. Put yourself in their shoes. Face the fact that it is their business and they know things that you don't. So do not immediately react to things you believe are wrong. Try to understand their perspective.
Well, I'm sure empathy is a crucial soft skill for any relationship. What else would be on your list? I'm very curious.
So my bullet number 3 would be responsiveness. There are very few things that you can do worse than not getting back to a customer's email or leave their question or request hanging. This is valid for both sides of the relationship. I know we cannot control the client side of things, but as relationships are mutual, it would be fair to say stronger relationships can be achieved when both parties are responsive. By the way, being responsive is not just about getting back to an email, but it is about doing it in a timely manner as well.
I guess. Yeah, and I guess like in that kind of circle, you just kind of like with exchanging emails in timely manner, you get more ideas and more kind of prospects on what can be additionally done for a client, and that's how you build trust.
Exactly, sure. And my last bullet point with as number 4 would be feedback. So getting feedback and then acting on it is the simplest yet the most effective method to improve your relationship with your customer. You should be welcoming all kinds of feedback and seeing the negative ones as key for progress.
That's a good approach. In your opinion, was recent pandemic challenging for client relationship? Did you manage to maintain all things that you have on your list?
I mean, for sure it had an impact and made it more challenging overall, but level of challenge varied for different type of businesses.
Can you elaborate that a bit more? How the pandemic changed customer relationships, and how did you adapt to the new unexpected landscape?
Let me talk about our case here in Authority Partners as an example. And let's talk about existing customers first. Although we arrange periodical on-site visits to our customers, we work remote like 95% of the time, as you know. During the times when the effects of the pandemic was heavy, we were not able to conduct on-site visits. However, our way of working was not heavily affected, so we could adapt really quickly to changing conditions. We might even say that it evened out the situation between us and our competitors for cases where they have a local presence in the country that our customer resides and we don't.
And what about the new ones?
Yeah,
how did you manage that?
With new customers or prospects where we are trying to develop a relationship from scratch, this case was even more obvious.
Oh.
It was pretty much business as usual for us, whereas companies that were used to building relationships only by physical contact had a real hard time adapting, which applies for the customers too. I mean, customers who were not used to working remotely with vendors became much more open to that type of engagement as all their business had become remote as well.
And which communication channels did you use to continue to engage with clients during the pandemic?
Our main business communication platform, the one we use both internally and externally, is Microsoft Teams. And that did not change during the pandemic. But of course, usage increased heavily. However, based on the preference of some of our clients, we leveraged many similar communication platforms such as Cisco WebEx, Zoom, Google Meet, Slack, whatever is out there.
Oh, so it's pretty much like as everybody in every business was and still is hooked on different communication platforms, you did the same pretty much.
Exactly, we are all plugged.
We are all plugged. And for the end of this great conversation, do you have any recommendations for our listeners? What would be your message to them?
Maybe I should have done this in the beginning, but I need to mention I'm not a professor on customer relationships. Neither, I don't know if there is a professorship on customer relationships. But what I've been talking, but what I've been talking about is completely based on my experience on the field. So again, in my humble opinion, the most important concept among all we've talked about is empathy. The worst misunderstanding there is seeing vendor-customer relationship as one directional, as if what only matters is convincing the customer somehow. However, all real relationships, either business or personal, are mutual and can never be strong enough unless both parties learn to see things from each other's point of view.
Or stepping into shoes, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the core values we have here at Authority Partners. As the name also implies, we believe we are the authority in what we do, and the companies we work with are client partners.
Yes, and that's the beauty of Authority Partners company culture, which I really appreciate a lot.
That's true.
Everything sounds great. Like, thank you very much. Çok güzel Burak.
Teşekkürler.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. It was a great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Asya. The pleasure was all mine, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks a million, and I sincerely hope we will talk again.
Thank you for listening to Authority Partners podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.